the Scots podcast, your one-stop shop for stories of Scottish sporting success.
Hello and welcome to the Top of the Scots podcast, the show that brings you all the success stories in Scottish sport. Today I'm your host Kyle Murphy, and today I'm joined by boxer Stephen Newns. Stephen, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, not a problem, thanks for having me.
So, can you tell me about your background and how you got into the sport?
So, with boxing, I started going to the gym when I was like 7 or 8 years old. So my dad was the coach in my local amateur boxing club. You know, he was going there before even I had started boxing. He was a boxer himself before I was alive. So while he was helping out coaching, I started to go along with him at that age. It was just something for me to do at that time, just when I was that young and keeping fit. Got to around sort of 11 years old, nearly 12 years old, and I just started competing. I was getting to a stage now where I was actually getting a bit better, and it was time to actually, go in there and have a fight. Done so, and I got really competitive with it. I thought, oh, I like this, I'm going to keep going. And right up until I think the first time I boxed for Scotland was when I was 13 years old down in Manchester in the British Championships. Since then, it's been like, no, this is my thing. I'm going to keep doing this, and still at 27 years old, I'm still doing it.
You mentioned that you trained with your dad. Would you say he's been a big role model in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't even know if I would have stepped foot in the doors of a boxing gym if it wasn't for my dad. My mum was really against it from when I was young, just because she doesn't want to see me getting hurt. But no, I've been supported massively from both my mum and my dad. My dad's been involved in my boxing career throughout. I wouldn't have it any other way. Sometimes we do clashes like father and son would, but he's one reason I'll look back and think, I wouldn't have had these experiences and had this success if it wasn't for my dad taking me to boxing and been with me the full way.
And would you say there's any other inspirational role models that have followed you throughout your career as well?
It's hard to say, no one in particular. I mean, yeah, I've looked up to the likes of some of the Scottish world-class boxers, like sort of Vicky Burns and your Josh Taylors, guys like that, your Alex Arthurs. They've went and achieved success in global stage as professionals. But there's normal guys from Scotland, like myself, like the rest of us here, guys I've been in the club with, guys I've been in the Scotland team with, and it shows that guys coming from the same background, the same sort of similar upbringings, can go and achieve this success if they put the work in. So why can't I? So it's something that spurs me on from the likes of what they guys have done.
And when you think about moments in your career, just reading here that you competed at both the 2018 and 2022 Commonwealth Games. Can you tell me about that? Because that must have been an incredible experience.
Brilliant. I would say what stands out more was the Commonwealth Games in 2018. I was even younger when I went there. I remember the build up for that, the qualifying process, and when it was my first year as a senior boxer. So I was one of the younger guys on the squad for that, on the build up to that, and there was already other established guys on the team who were more certain to have been selected, because it wasn't just a case of you're the best at your weight in Scotland, you're going to the Commonwealth Games. It was you had to be the best at your weight, one, and then also prove that you can be in the top percentile of the guys on the team, because they might only have 6 or 7 spaces. Luckily enough, I think we got 10. So it was just about, there's a couple of weights that were missing, but I got selected because the Boxing Scotland, the national governing body, was able to rely on me to say to Sport Scotland, look, this guy's medal potential, he's had success abroad in international competitions. So the build up that year was great, and then when we got selected, it was some buzz. We were delighted. We celebrated. It was around about Christmas time then, before we picked up into training. And Australia itself is, we still speak about it to this day. Some of the boys that went, it's just how different it is to anywhere we've been. The lifestyle out there, and even the competition of it, the media presence that was around it, seeing all the other athletes as well in the village, and I actually, I progressed in that tournament. I was so close to medaling, so the ups and downs were massive. That it was a emotional roller coaster. Even when I was younger back then, I've sort of grown from that, and I've been able to cope with my stresses and emotions a bit better moving forward.
And do you feel like, from going from the 2018 Commonwealth Games to the 2022 Commonwealth Games, you feel like you experienced a boxer, you've matured more and you've picked up new skills?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over the years, going to tougher competitions like sort of Eastern European countries where the boxing is more popular than the Commonwealth countries, that's been a massive part of my development. I can only thank Boxing Scotland for getting those opportunities for me. It's definitely put me in great stead to turn pro now. And yeah, I didn't progress in the tournament in Birmingham, and it was a tough, very tough one mentally to take around about that time, because I was had hopes over those 4 years. It was my long-term goal here is to go back and get a medal. I fell short of that. And the first stage of the competition, I lost in a split decision in the first fight, and it was a very hard one to take. But as a boxer, overall, mentally, even sort of physically, tactically, technically, I've definitely progressed over the years. As I said, all those experiences, travelling the world, going to competitions and tournaments, put me in great stead. And I was just unfortunate that guy won on the day. Maybe another day I would have beat him and progressed. And I don't want to dwell on it too much either. I need to look back at my time in the amateur team and look what I've learned, look what successes I've had. Not to think, oh, I failed, not getting a Commonwealth Games medal. I'm still boxing now, so I've still got time to get success. But I don't want to focus on that too much either. I want to enjoy the sport first and foremost. And I try and teach that to the kids who are that are in the amateur club that we coach in.
And you as well. And you would have had a lot of support when you were down in Birmingham, because it's obviously any distance from here to Australia, it's a long distance, but for Birmingham you could have all your family down. That must have been so helpful considering what happened in
definitely. It was one of the first things I remember when I did come out the ring. I'm telling myself, I don't even know if I'm going to continue this anymore, do I even want to go pro? I'd finished uni at this time as well. I was I've got a degree, to just go and get a job, a million things in my head. Difficult. This is as soon as I come out the ring into the changing rooms, didn't want to speak to anyone, and then I turned the corner round to where the kind of the spectators area was, and there was loads of my family there, loads of them waiting to see me. A lot of my family from down in Manchester were there, so my mum, my dad, everybody, and just went straight over to them, and it was just comforting that they'd all sort of waited for me, even in my sort of your darkest moments. But the kind of time where you need picked up, I think that's the most important time to get that support, is when you're down. You hear from when you're up and you're winning, you hear from everyone jump on the bandwagon, oh brilliant. But when you're down, that's when I feel like you need the support, because it's tough, you feel lonely and stuff. So it was good, and they spent the week with me before they went back home, and I just sort of enjoyed myself down there. Watched the other boxers, our boxing team done really well, got a great medal haul, just mixed in with all the other athletes and that as well, so aye.
And now you also mentioned about your pro debut, you made that last year. How was that in continuing your boxing career as a progress level?
Aye, it was good. It was sort of a long awaited debut, because I had plans to go to the US, which didn't unfold. However, since then I've landed on my feet, things are going really well, and to have my debut so close to home as well, with as many family, friends able to come along and see it in person was great, because a lot of the time when I was abroad, it was just physically impossible for so many people that knew me to come along and watch, whereas to actually have as many people that support me for my pro debut, it was a special day. It'll live with me forever. It was good, and it was the start of a journey. My performance I wasn't actually too happy with my performance. I don't know if it was maybe just the nerves and the sort of, it's a new sport as well. You've still got your skills, but you need to demonstrate them differently. But no, it was a great moment. Aye.
You are listening to the Top of the Scots podcast from the University of the West of Scotland.
And what are some of the preparations you go through on the day of your debut? Because that must be must be quite overwhelming for like just make it for the first time.
I mean, it is another fight. I don't want to overcomplicate it too much and just try and relax around about it as well. As you say, like it can get overwhelming. I think if you let it, mentally, I've been able to train myself to relax about things and just sort of go with the flow, because I do know deep down that I'm a really good boxer and I'm really conditioned and fit and determined and stuff. I should just, go and turn up and use those skills rather than overthinking it, because maybe in the past I've maybe overdone that and tried too hard and it's been detrimental to any sort of performance. Just to I just relaxed that day. I remember going for a walk. It was last May, so the weather here was great. Went for a walk, chilled in the garden, had a bit of food, refuelled obviously after the weigh-in. Yeah, and then just turned up to the venue and spoke away to some of the guys down there and started warming up. It was nothing different to how I would normally do it as an amateur, just a professional approach as always. But it was kind of getting to the stage where I was like, I'm looking forward to just doing this now because of how long I'd waited to box as a pro. But it's just normal routine, relax with it and enjoy it, and I feel like I got on better doing that.
And do you think that's helped you with your boxing career, having that one same schedule on the day of a fight?
Yeah, I mean, nothing drastic I wouldn't change. I mean, it's helped me so far. I wouldn't say I've got any sort of different sort of routines to anybody else. I mean, I just sort of do my own thing and don't overcomplicate anything. I don't look for new strategies that, what if I try this and this might work, but if it's minor, I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. All the build up and preparations happen months and weeks before it, even years, to obviously get to, a level of competitor that I am. So I just try and once I've got, my name's getting called, it's like, right, switch off now, no carry on, no having a laugh, it's it's time. So I'm able to make that switch because I've done boxing for that many years. It's just sort of an natural now.
And in the lead up to your pro debut, you've managed to train with David Hay in Las Vegas, and you've also got advice from him as well as Chris Eubank Jr. What was it like to interact with these figures, massive figures in the world of boxing?
Do you know what? I felt as if not as if it was normal and I expected to do this. It was after time, speaking to the likes of these sort of bigger names, you realise very quickly these are just normal people like me and everyone else. When I first walked into the gym, the top ranked gym in Vegas, and you see David Hay, is that really him? And I got closer, I'm like, it is David Hay. And then I think it was him that approached us because we were one of the only guys from the UK that was there. And then once you're speaking to him, he's just like any other guy in the gym. It's the same as when I've met the likes of Anthony Joshua, I think who else. These are just normal sort of guys, just like myself, who love the sport, they try their best, and they're successful. And it's there's no one's more special than anyone, and that's what it's another motivator for me as well. It's like no one's got the God-given right for this success any more than myself or anyone else. So all you can do is put the work in.
And you also mentioned about the top ranked gym as well, and you read the list of boxers that have trained there: Tyson Fury, Manny Pacquiao. That must have been a great honour to train in such a prestigious gym in Las Vegas.
It was brilliant getting that opportunity. It felt a bit surreal to begin with. When I was making the arrangements to go over, I didn't really tell many people before it in case they thought, so you're going there, because most of the time you travel abroad would be with the Scotland team as a pro. It doesn't happen as often until you're actually at the top stages, whereas I was obviously transitioning from amateur to pro. I got that opportunity to go out there and I thought, I'm going to take that. I feel like this is the right thing for me to do. I went, I enjoyed it, had a great time.
This is Top of the Scots, the podcast that hears from UWS graduates at the top of their game.
Moving away from boxing a wee bit, you've also got a master's degree in sports coaching. What made you decide to go into this area of learning, and how did you find it?
The honours degree was always a goal of mine from when I was at college, but the masters wasn't until maybe around a bit after Commonwealth Games time. I put I applied for the course just like sort of in the off chance I'd seen it was advertised. So I was getting to the end of my degree. I'm like, what do I do now? Do I continue boxing? Do I look for a job? Do I still study? Felt as if I had more in the tank to go and learn and gain like more qualifications and get more learning to become more employable in the future. And I got the offer once I'd completed my honours degree. And because I took my time from turning pro. In my head for years and years I'm thinking, right, if I go and get a medal in the Commonwealth Games, I can turn pro off the back of that, I could be a big name, and you know, I might attract a big TV promoter, and that was my full-time thing, but it didn't quite work out that way. So I had a lot of time over the summer, like reflecting on what do I do here, and then I got the offer for the course. Went and seen funny enough, I went and seen the overview of the entire course. I was kind of overwhelmed by that. I'm looking at it going like, that's a lot. Like, have I got that in me to do? Maybe I've reached my limits here with the honours, because that was tough for me. Even coming through school and that, like, I did find school difficult. But I don't know, I think it was like weeks later, I'm going to knuckle down here and maybe take a back step from boxing just now, maybe just go part-time in the Scotland team. Get my last couple of competitions out the way after the games. Then I got to like kind of Christmas time, thought nah, I'll just go flat out here. I've got 6 months to complete my having a master's. Like me having a master's, if any of my school teachers would have heard that, they would have thought no chance. But I done that. It gave me time to sort of not just jump straight into something as a pro. It gave me time to, you know, explore my options, like going to America, like going down to England, like seeing the guys up here as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's maybe been a blessing.
And as somebody that's finished their master's course, there'll be thousands of people, you know, going into fourth year this year, finishing up in say May, June. What advice would you give to those, you know, that are like, you know, feel like they feel down and like struggling with their, you know, final piece of work?
Just to keep going. I mean, utilise the support as well. You know, I get great support from everyone at university while I was here. You know, and obviously the thing is, it's your degree, it's you that needs to go and work for it. The satisfaction of achieving that is like unmatched. To get something, it's not going to be easy to get something, you know, worth what like sort of working for. If that makes sense. Like, and it's just, you know, it flies in as well. That might be cliche, but it does. It's a small part of your life where you just need to put the head down and work hard, and then you've achieved that goal, and you can go and do the rest, what you want the rest of your life. It's like honestly, it's such a small. At the time, like I said to you earlier on, it's like like you think it takes over your life and it's everything, but it's not. It's like small part. I think, I'm not saying you would regret, you know, chucking it, but you know, while you're in the course and you're almost there, the finish line does come. You know what I mean?
And you know, just to finish the show off here, if there's anything, you know, that's happening in your future career, and is there another thing, is that once you get older, is it boxing going to be a main focus in your career, or are you going to go back to sports coaching?
It's a hard one. At the moment, I do help with a lot of coaching in the amateur club that we're at just now too. I helped to gain affiliation for that amateur club with the governing bodies, so this was the first time a lot of the guys in the club have managed to compete as amateurs, and I do enjoy that. My priority is just now as my own professional career, because I know that that's going to take off eventually, and a lot of time and effort's required, and that also as well, a small window in my life, the boat will sail quickly. I'll be maybe too old, my circumstances might change in the future, if I get, like, you know, a wife, kids, you know, so, but going back into sports coaching, yeah, it's hopefully a possibility for me. You know, I'd like to feel that I'm employable and I'm like good to work with, so it would be nice to settle into something, you know, a career which is in that field once I've finished my sport.
Stephen Newns, thank you for joining me today.
Not a problem, thanks for having me.
Top of the Scots podcast, your one-stop shop for stories of Scottish sporting success.